Zootopia markets itself as a flawless city where anyone can be anything, provided they follow the rules. But for officers Judy and Nick Wilde, the reality of policing is far less harmonious. Their opposing styles, Judy's methodical optimism colliding directly with Nick's pragmatic cynicism, have created enough friction to land them in mandatory, department-ordered therapy. This internal drama is immediately sidelined by the appearance of Gary the Snake. His presence in the city is an impossibility. Official records claim Zootopia hasn't seen a single reptile in a century. By simply existing, he challenges the city's foundational history. Gary is in Zootopia to reclaim a historical journal documenting the city's true origins. This theft triggers an immediate, aggressive response from the Linksley family, the aristocratic dynasty that claims to be the city's sole architects. The Linksleys use their institutional reach to pressure a mayor's office and frame Nick and Judy as accomplices. Within hours, the city's most famous officers are stripped of their authority and forced to navigate Zootopia as fugitives. Zootopia's stability is built on a specific narrative of inclusion. When one outsider appears with an unapproved history, that narrative begins to unravel, exposing how much the ruling class is willing to sacrifice to keep the secret buried. Judy and Nick follow Gary deep into Reptile Ravine, a subterranean exile the surface world ignores. The shift is immediate. The light and wealth of the city give way to a segregated, makeshift economy existing entirely off the grid. In this hidden community, the truth of Zootopia's engineering is preserved. The massive climate walls that sustain the city's biomes were actually the invention of Gary's great-grandmother, Agnes. The Linksleys drafted a corporate patent from Agnes's journal, framing her to drive reptiles out. To ensure permanent exile, Tundra Town was built directly over reptile settlements, burying evidence under ice. Scrubbing reptiles from official data spiked the family's wealth, profiting from rewritten history. The city's engineering marvels were not just built for convenience, they were designed as tools of erasure. Zootopia's architecture physically hides the systemic theft that allowed the Linksley dynasty to rise. Pobert Linksley plays the part of the awkward, insecure younger brother who just wants to do the right thing. But this clumsy persona is a mask for his desperation to finally be accepted by his family. At the climate wall, the facade disappears. He realizes the truth would destroy his family's reputation and chooses to protect the Linksley name over the lives of his companions. Pobert injects Judy with a toxic venom and steals the antivenom. He leaves them to freeze, prioritizing his family's forged legacy over the truth. Pobert is a product of a system that values legacy over morality. He believes a single ruthless act will win him the approval he's been denied, ensuring the Linksley fraud remains unchallenged. When an individual's identity is tied to a stolen status, the pressure to maintain that lie is overwhelming. Pobert demonstrates how easily empathy is abandoned when the survival of a family's reputation is on the line. Nick escapes his captors and intercepts Pobert at the climate wall. He manages to retrieve the antivenom, but the physical gap between them makes it impossible for him to reach Judy himself. Nick has spent his life keeping others at a distance to protect himself. To save Judy, he has to discard that instinct and rely entirely on someone the city has taught him to fear. Nick tosses the antivenom across the gap to Gary. He is entrusting his partner's survival to an outcast he was once instructed to avoid. Gary catches the pen and saves Judy's life. This moment establishes a new kind of partnership, one that relies on individual trust and vulnerability, rather than the authority of the police department. With the original journal recovered, the century-long Linksley fraud is exposed. The public learns the truth about Agnes, the city's real architect, and the reptiles are officially welcomed back to the surface. A true utopia cannot be sustained by burying the past. It requires the courage to unearth uncomfortable truths and rewrite the city's narrative to include the very voices that were pushed into the shadows.